WSFA TV, Channel 12, Montgomery.
From Alabama's News Center, this is WSFA TV News, the 6 o'clock report. With tonight's news, Bob Howell.
Good evening. WSFA TV News has learned that State Highway Director Ray Bass has submitted his resignation to Governor George Wallace and asked that it become effective immediately. He will be replaced by Assistant Highway Director Dan Turner. Bass, who was named Highway Director in 1973 after serving 2 years as Assistant Director, could not be reached for confirmation on his resignation. His office said that he was out of town. Bass has been mentioned as a possible candidate for the office of Lieutenant Governor, and it's believed he resigned to actively seek that office. Tom Epsey of Huntsville, who is office engineer of the Bureau of Engineers, is expected to be named today as acting highway director. Turner, contacted at his office, said that he understood that he became highway director around noon today, but has not received any official word. An announcement affecting Bass, his position, and future is expected to come sometime tomorrow from the governor's office. Montgomery police say that 2 juveniles are in custody tonight following a sniper-like shooting incident this afternoon. Dave Rickey has details.
Police say at least 2 shots were fired at stopped vehicles near the intersection of Arba and Union Streets just after 2 o'clock this afternoon. The first shot hit a pickup truck occupied by Earl Mobley and Bill Rogers. Rogers was on the passenger side when the bullet hit just inches away from an open window.
We're sitting at the stoplight waiting for the light to change going on the on-ramp and got shot at. Pulled across on the on-ramp and got out to see where we got hit.
Any idea where the shot came from?
It came from this apartment building here, or these bushes in front of it.
Another bullet struck Charles Davis's car, but like Rogers and Mobley, he escaped injury. Police say the shots were fired from one of these windows, although they would not give the exact location. After more than an hour of searching the apartments in the building, a weapon was found and the 2 youngsters were apprehended.
We have 2 juveniles in custody at this time that we are questioning in regards to the shooting.
Did anybody get hurt?
No, sir. No one was hurt. Fortunately, one of the cars was hit behind the rear door and the other one was hit approximately 1.5 inches under the window where the man was sitting.
That was pretty close to him.
Yes, sir, it was.
Detective Tucker said there had been a report of a windshield being broken out at the same intersection earlier today, but it's not known if there's any connection between that incident and this afternoon's near-tragic shooting. From Patterson Court, this is Dave Rickey, WSFA TV News reporting.
Nearly 2,000 people were evacuated from their homes, schools, and businesses in Demopolis, Alabama this morning when a barge loaded with 24,000 pounds of polyurethane foam caught fire and spread toxic fumes over a mile-wide area. After the air was clear and the barricades were lifted, Bill Weaver took a look at the aftermath.
The outside of the once burning barge looked innocent enough. It was a little hard to believe that this kept Demopolis firefighters busy for nearly 3 hours. But it did. Just after 9 this morning, while the inside of the barge was being coated with polyurethane foam for buoyancy, a fire started, which shot 20-foot flames from the craft, along with billowing columns of poisonous nitric oxide gas. Officials evacuated the lumber company where it occurred, along with some nearby residents and some 700 school pupils in a 1-mile area around the dock site. In the meantime, firemen donned gas masks and went to work.
Well, the lumber company had all personnel let out, and we immediately notified the police department to start keeping people back after we had found out that the chemical was dangerous, and it was a Class A chemical poison. And when we got there, the front end of the barge had 2 holes cut in it where the smoke was coming out, and from this point, this is where we made our attack, into the 2 holes.
Business will be back to normal Monday at the Miller Lumber Company, with its employees and other Demopolis residents feeling lucky. During similar incidents, polyurethane gas fumes have taken the lives of firemen and innocent bystanders. This one only caused a few headaches. Bill Weaver, WSFA TV News, Demopolis.
Florida financier E.A. Gregory and his wife pleaded innocent to charges of violating state banking laws at an arraignment in Macon County today. Gregory and his wife, Vanna Jo, appeared in court along with their attorneys, Ira DeMent, Fred Gray, and Jerry Woods. According to information from the Macon County Clerk's office, trial date for the Gregorys is scheduled for May 29th before Circuit Judge James Avery. Montgomery Housing Board members are angry and upset over an apparent change of decisions by the federal housing officials. Plans for a new executive director were smashed last night when board members were told that housing and urban development officials who had previously okayed the new job had changed their minds. Local housing board members also discovered that many people knew what the new housing budget contained, but the board members, as Norman Lumpkin reports.
November of last year, HUD told the Montgomery Housing Authority that it was okay to hire a new so-called super manager. But last night, HUD said that there was not enough money in the new budget to hire a new man. And board chairman Jess Griffith says he's angry. And he says the new budget has not been seen by any Montgomery Housing Authority board members.
Well, number one, Norman, the budget came back, the current budget for the Housing Authority came back to the board last night, and it was discussed by the HUD officials from Birmingham, and none of the board members of the Montgomery Housing Authority has seen the budget as of now. We feel like we're entitled to see it. There were some things taken out of it. We're not sure what they are. One thing in particular was taken out that had prior budgetary approval was the chief executive officer that was approved in December by HUD officials at that time.
Don't you have a letter here saying that they approve it?
Yes, I do. They concurred with the job description and with the salary budgetary approval.
When did you find out that they changed their mind?
Last night when they announced it at our board meeting, and again I say without any board member having a copy of that particular budget.
Presently, Mr. Griffith, do you know what is in or what is out of the budget and how many people may lose their jobs?
I do not, and none of the board members know this. No member of the board, to my knowledge, has received the budget as of this hour.
Is there anybody associated with the Montgomery Housing Authority who knows what's in the budget?
Mr. Miller knows what's in the budget.
Aside from being puzzled and angry with HUD officials, Montgomery Housing Authority board members are also upset with Housing Director J.C. Miller because he knew what was and what was not in the budget, but he didn't tell them. This is Norman Lumpkin, WSFA TV News reporting.
Reports are pouring in all over Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, and Tennessee. Thousands of car and truck buyers have already gotten great buys during our annual 54-hour Ford Marathon. And the huge selection and rock-bottom prices continue to bring out the bargain hunters. Ford dealers are staying open all hours to meet the demand. Saturday's the last day, so hurry to your Ford dealers for a fantastic bargain during the annual 54-hour Ford Marathon.
Welcome to beautiful Hunters Point. Quiet and peaceful with lots of trees, yet still a very convenient location. A dream come true. The most beautiful area in Montgomery is now a reality. Hunters Point from Don Sawyer Realty. This popular area features new dream homes priced from just $51,200. One visit and you'll see why it offers you more for your money. Hunters Point. Call Don Sawyer Realty today.
Thanks a lot, Don.
McLendon Furniture has a way to give any room a different look every day. Geometrics by Lee. Geometrics are beautifully finished modular pieces with doors, drawers, and open shelves that stack together to form living rooms, wall units, and entertainment centers. Does your bedroom need a facelift? McLendon's Geometrics create a totally new look. There are over 50 ways to decorate, so come in today for Geometrics at everyday low direct discount prices from McLendon Furniture on the Eastern Bypass.
City and county officials in Selma are still working on a use for the old Craig Air Force Base property, which was closed last September. Today, Mayor Joe Smitherman talked about the plan for utilizing the property at the base, which will be submitted to the General Services Administration.
We thought at first, with all the government promises, that they were going to make a model out of Selma. I mean, the President's Economic Adjustment Team came in here, and that they were going to have this base reuse back to us within a year. Well, we've had a lot of disappointments with the government red tape and getting something back that we gave to them as government criteria. But we are moving, and possibly in the next 3 months we'll have the base reuse plan approved, which means that we can start making leases out there rather than interim leases. And on top of that, we're getting another 700 acres, the old municipal airport that will be industrialized.
You still do have a fairly low employment figure now. What's being done to cope with that? Will the Craig situation help that?
Well, a lot of the employment figures are people that do not have skilled laborers and do not wish to be employed. Now, I'm not making a speech, but we've got jobs for, of course, that pay above minimum wage that are open with the city, and a lot of these statistics are, with the exception of young people with skills and education, which Selma has a hard problem in filling those jobs. New industry would take care of that.
2nd District Congressman Bill Dickinson of Montgomery said today that he plans to seek a 90-day extension from the Air Force before it goes ahead with a planned change at Maxwell Air Force Base. Dickinson met with local Air Force officials here today and later said he will confer with the Air Force in Washington early next week to seek an extension of time. He said if the Air Force does not agree to wait beyond the April 11th date, when a move will be made to place the Air University under the training command, he will file a court suit. Dickinson said here today that Montgomery Mayor Emery Falmer has agreed to be a part of that suit, seeking an injunction if the Air Force refuses to honor his request to delay that action. Meanwhile, Senator Jim Allen, who also visited Maxwell yesterday, said that he will seek a meeting with Air Force officials in Washington.
The Alabama delegation is going to call on the Air Force to postpone this consolidation until a full study can be made of the advisability of taking this step. And just tonight I was talking here at Maxwell with Congressman Bill Dickinson. He shares that opinion, and Monday we're going to call on the entire Alabama delegation to put our joint shoulders to the wheel to try to keep this from being done. They say it's going to have very little effect on the operation here, and possibly that's so, but I'd feel much more comfortable if the Air University and Gunter would stay as a separate command rather than being merged in with the Air Training Command.
The question of whether or not State Representative Thomas Reed should be entitled to back pay will be taken to court, according to the state's Attorney General. Attorney General Bill Baxley said today that he'll ask a circuit court to decide on the question of back pay to the Tuskegee lawmaker. Reed's pay was stopped after an Attorney General's opinion said that his conviction for attempted bribery would make him ineligible to serve in the state legislature. But Reed says that he's there to stay until ousted by his peers. And Circuit Court Judge Joe Phelps ruled in a lawsuit that his status as a representative would have to be settled by the legislature and not the courts. More than 600 young people from around the state of Alabama are here in Montgomery this weekend conducting a mock legislative session. It's the 30th annual Alabama YMCA Youth Legislature in Action. George Mitchell reports.
Governor Gene Henderson, an Opelika High School senior in Lee County, places education as the top priority of her administration. This was her first day in office after being elected by the youth legislature.
Well, I think that the education in the state needs to be improved. We've all heard of the Florida test where they found so many students illiterate down there, and we're sure the situation exists in Alabama. I'd like to see a type of competency test put into the system, and I'm sure this has come close to passing now. I'd like to see us working on the lead bill and some of the provisions in it. And I also think many of the prison systems we need to be upgraded. We need more funding to provide for the staffing of the prisons now that they've already put under construction.
Later, Governor Henderson joined Governor George Wallace when he addressed a joint session of the youth legislature. Wallace, noting this would be the last time to address such a body as governor, touched on the importance of the office he holds.
The governor of Alabama is the head of the executive branch of government in the state. But it is no more important to the people of this state and country than being a good nurse, being a good businesswoman, a businessman, of being a good bricklayer, of being a good carpenter, of being a good architect, of being a good attorney.
Some of the many pieces of legislation debated in the youth legislature included a law abolishing the Sunday closing blue law. Joanne Stevens of Tuscaloosa supported the bill's sponsor, Willie Wilder of Birmingham, in getting it through the Senate. The need for a new state constitution has caught the interest of the youth legislature. The House passed a measure providing for a constitutional convention to revise and amend the state constitution. Dick Brubaker of Montgomery was a co-sponsor of the bill. The youth legislature will log in the 4th and 5th legislative days tomorrow before adjourning sine die at 6 p.m. the same day. George Mitchell, WSFA TV News.
The heart of a good mower is a reliable engine. So a dependable 3.5 horsepower Briggs & Stratton engine goes into Ward's best push mower. You get flip-top rear bagging convenience, and you get it for just $169.88. Or get Briggs & Stratton reliability for just $119.88. Or $99.88. No matter what size your lawn or your budget, the place to come is Montgomery Ward.
People tell me I just happen to look pretty good in eyeglasses. But right now I'm wearing contact lenses. Why? Just because I happen to like them. If you think you'd like contact lenses, then you ought to go to the optical department at Sears. They really understand contact lenses. And when they say, trust us, we care, believe them.
The optical department at Sears.
Contact lenses, available at most optical departments at Sears.
The stock market was off for the second straight day in moderate trading on Wall Street. The Dow Industrials were off 226, closing at 757.36. An average share lost 6 cents on a volume of 20,130,000 shares. More than $230,000 in timber burned in forest fires across the state in one day yesterday, and conditions are not improving. And on a tragic note, 3 persons have died in rural fires in the last 10 days in Alabama. According to statistics released from the State Forestry Commission, more than 180 fires destroyed 4 houses, a barn, and a log truck, in addition to the timber losses in one day yesterday. Is the weather going to help the situation as far as the fire danger rating is concerned over the weekend?
Not really. In fact, the weather is going to worsen the situation. We've had light winds for the last several days, and that has been good, but now the high pressure center is to the east of us, and we're going to get some winds from the south tomorrow, Bob, perhaps 8 to 15 miles per hour, and as the wind picks up, of course, that'll allow fires to spread much more readily than they have. The Forestry Commission reports that the fire danger rating for the northern half of the state is now very high, while still high for the southern half of Alabama. As you might imagine, the woodlands of North Alabama are not quite so green yet as those of the southern part of the state, and that's the main reason that the fire danger rating is very high for the northern part of Alabama. There may be a few showers in the northernmost parts of the state Sunday. That's back in the forecast, but no rain otherwise for the rest of the state until about Tuesday or so, when some thunder showers are expected statewide. The temperature should continue under sunny skies to climb into the 80s during the day, dropping at night generally into the 50s. There will be a few clouds around during the weekend, but not enough to call it cloudy skies. We'll be expecting partly cloudy skies for Saturday and Sunday. The temperatures now on the weather map were reported highs across the nation today. We'll correct that. These were temperatures at 2 o'clock Central Time today. 84 degrees then in Tampa, 63 in Washington, 85 in St. Louis. Denver reported 74 and Los Angeles 66. Here's today's satellite picture of the nation's weather. Most of the southern half of the country had fair skies today, but there was considerable cloudiness in the western third of the U.S., where a frontal system and a low-pressure area have produced some heavy rain in Southern California in particular. Flash flooding is a problem there, as well as in parts of southern Nevada. Another area of rainfall in the U.S. has been from the western Great Lakes down into West Virginia, that a result of a warm front moving now toward the northeast across the Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes region. Around the regional map, skies are clear. Temperatures 1 hour ago in neighboring states ranged then from a low reading of 67 degrees in Panama City to the warmest temperature 1 hour ago of 83 degrees in Columbus. Right now it's 73 in Huntsville. Birmingham is 79, 82 in Tuscaloosa, 79 in Selma. Auburn, Opelika 73, Dothan 77, Mobile 73. At Danley Field, the reading on the Fahrenheit scale is 78. That's 26 degrees Celsius. Skies are fair, and the wind is now from the southeast at 3. Low temperature this morning was 50. Today's high 84. Relative humidity is now 29% and the barometer is steady. The sun will rise tomorrow at 5:34, setting at 5 after 6. And here you see the lake levels, both recorded at 7 this morning. The forecast, fair and mild tonight, then partly cloudy and warm Saturday and Sunday with a low tonight of 51, the high tomorrow 85. Winds tonight light and variable, then from the south tomorrow at 8 to 15 miles per hour. And that's the weather, Bob.
Thank you, Dan. Officials from across Alabama involved in historic preservation, recycling, and cleanup programs are meeting today in Selma. Participants have been digging into workshops at the Alabama Environmental Quality Association's second annual Community Improvement Seminar. Representatives from towns not already involved in various projects in question are learning how to get started from those with some record of success. The seminar is running concurrently with a Selma pilgrimage of historic homes and buildings. Overlapping events of the two groups include tonight's candlelight tour of Selma's historic Sturtevant Hall.
Well, boys, ready for coffee?
Just a loose wire, Cora.
Pretty old car. Old? Young man, when you find something that works, you stick with it.
Wish my Esther's coffee was this good.
It's Maxwell House. Been this good since I was a girl. I think it tastes best. It's the only kind I sell.
Only kind?
Son, you find something that works, you stick with it. Like they say. Good to the last drop.
The benefits of borrowing from First Alabama. Loan officers who understand the home improvement needs of a growing family.
Ah.
Loan officers who make van loans as easily as car loans.
Ah.
And loan officers who know what it means to have your own boat.
Ah.
When you need a loan, come to First Alabama Bank. We'll make you say, ah.
A couple of former Montgomery Rebel baseball players are making it big with the Tigers.
A lot of them down through the years, followed them closely. Detroit has a reputation of bringing good players along, as do some of the others like Boston, and it can pay off. It may yet pay off for them. Hugh Durham of Florida State was named head basketball coach at the University of Georgia today, succeeding John Guthrie, who was fired 3 weeks ago. Durham's salary is reported to be $35,000. He was making $17,500 at Florida State. Durham, who in 12 years at the Florida school won 230 games and lost only 95, took his team to the Metro 7 conference title with a 21-4 record this year. He was named Coach of the Year in the Metro 7. Meanwhile, Mississippi State has called a press conference for tomorrow morning, presumably to announce the hiring of Jim Hatfield as their new basketball coach. Hatfield is presently the coach at the University of Southwestern Louisiana. There is no word on a successor to Bob Davis at Auburn. The selection committee reportedly has several candidates in mind, but so far as we've been able to learn, there's no hurry to name a successor. Recruiting at Auburn, meanwhile, is at a standstill. Argentina's Florentino Molina and U.S. veteran Wally Armstrong share the halfway lead in the Greater Greensboro Open golf tournament. Phil Hancock of Alabama is in good shape after a 71 today. He's 6 behind. Dwight Neville has rallied for a 71 to make the cut. Ricky Beck of Geneva, Alabama shot 72 today, but the 81 yesterday could not be overcome. He failed the 36-hole cut. Sandra Post has a one-shot lead midway through her second round of the $305,000 Dinah Shore Winner's Circle tournament. Joanne Carner is in the clubhouse with a 140 and is the clubhouse leader. We'll be telecasting the finish of both the Greensboro and the Winner's Circle tournaments this weekend. When the Montgomery Rebels come home April 13th, few faces will fit the familiar numbers of their jerseys. But for those who follow the game closely, many of those familiar faces will end up in the big leagues. Dan O'Brien, who spent a few days at spring training, has a report on some promising former Rebels.
The Montgomery Rebels breezed to the Southern League Championship last season, but this year the Rebels will defend the title with an entirely new lineup. Most of last year's team will end up in Evansville, playing for the Detroit Tigers AAA farm team there. But a few have a shot at making the big club this season. No matter what happens this year, though, the Tigers organization feels it's only a matter of time before shortstop Alan Trammell and second baseman Lou Whitaker crack the starting lineup. In fact, the Tigers are counting on Trammell and Whitaker to be their double-play combination of the future. Whitaker and Trammell joined the Tigers late last season after leading the Rebels to their 5th league championship in 6 years. Both are only 20 years old, and it's no secret the Tigers want to bring them along together. So far, that's been no problem since their development has been very similar. Whitaker was the most valuable player in the Florida State League in 1976. Trammell, the Southern League MVP last season. Both are considered outstanding fielders. Right now, though, Steve Dillard and Mark Wagner are the starting second baseman and shortstop for Detroit, but some observers think that will change by opening day. Former Rebel center fielder Dave Stegman has also had an impressive spring training, although Stegman's chances of sticking with Detroit are not as good as Whitaker's and Trammell's since the Tigers are deeper in the outfield. The Tigers could surprise some folks this year, though. They have a lot of good young talent, most of them former Rebels. That includes a healthy Mark Fidrich, who seems completely recovered from last year's arm problems. Unfortunately for the Tigers, though, they may be in the wrong division to make a move this year. Dan O'Brien, WSFA TV Sports.
Vida Blue returned to the San Francisco Giants training camp in Phoenix yesterday. He had walked away the day after he was traded by Oakland to the Giants, but Blue told Ron Brooks he's happy to be back and that his attorney will iron out any contract negotiations with the Giants.
I have my legal counsel handling that part of it now, but I did have some more problems that I had to go attend to, and as you said, I am back, and hey, I'm here to play ball, and I'm ready to go.
The Giants have point blank said they're not going to budge as far as negotiations are concerned. How about yourself?
Well, I really don't anticipate any problems in the contract negotiations. It's just a matter of getting with the Giants and trying to work some type of agreement out so I can continue to work and have some fun and do my thing on the baseball field.
Lanier golfer Charlie Baggett shot a 76 today. His team was defeated by Lehigh. Still, it's a day he'll likely recall with golfing pride. Charlie scored a hole-in-one on the par 3 fourth at Colonial Acres. That's the sports. For now, more news in just a minute.
Reports are pouring in all over Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, and Tennessee. Thousands of car and truck buyers have already gotten great buys during our annual 54-hour Ford Marathon. And the huge selection and rock-bottom prices continue to bring out the bargain hunters. Ford dealers are staying open all hours to meet the demand. Saturday's the last day, so hurry to your Ford dealers for a fantastic bargain during the annual 54-hour Ford Marathon.
Shop Rhodes Furniture in Montgomery and Opelika now during Rhodes' annual floor sample clearance. Save up to 30, 40, 50% on fine quality furnishings from the nation's leading manufacturers. Living room, dining room, and bedroom floor samples right off the showroom floor at tremendous discounts. It's the annual clearance of all floor samples at both Rhodes stores in Montgomery and Rhodes Furniture in Opelika.
Rhodes has beautiful furnishings for your home.
Lawns come in all shapes and sizes. Whatever shape your lawn, Western Auto has a power mower to cut it down to size. Most are powered with Briggs & Stratton engines. Western Auto mowers let you trim close to plants and fences. Make big lawns easy. Tough yards easy, too. See the full line of power mowers starting as low as $79.99. When it comes to power mowers, come to Western Auto.
Western Auto will be good to you.
And that's our 6 o'clock report for tonight. We hope that you have a very nice weekend, and thanks for watching.
From Alabama's News Center, this has been WSFA TV News, the 6 o'clock report. Our next news tonight at 10.